Hello, this is for Joey. This is your 3UZ LS430 left-hand drive, all fully rebuilt with your fuse box, and everything is obviously all labeled for you on the engine, so it'll be nice and easy to install. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut over so you can see exactly what it looks like underneath all the heat shrink here, so you can see how it was built. So we'll do that now and come back in a minute. Okay, and we're back. Right, so nice and simple. You've got your molded boot there, runs around the side there, goes around the other side over here, down to the front. We'll go there in a minute. You've got your side that comes along here. You'll see you've got little bolts and stuff in that. Let me just get the light on here so you can see. There you go. Right, so you've got your bolt mountings over here and over here. So this comes forward and mounts there with P-clips. Obviously you've got your cams, your injectors, your coils. Coming to the front here, you've got your coolant temp sensor over here. That's the one that's standard on the engine. We've included a single wire here without a termination on. That's for an aftermarket temperature gauge. You can fit it where this bolt hole is over here, and that can run to your gauge. Oil control valve for your VVT-i. Then coming down here, you've got your plug for your alternator. You've got your lambda sensor plug over there, which runs all the way to over there. Then obviously you have to connect your main power of your alternator to your battery or via a 120 amp fuse. You've got your MAF sensor over here, and that obviously comes off over here. We've given you a nice bit of length here, so depending on where you fit it in the pipe, etc. Coming around the other side, pretty much of the same. Coming along here, we've designed this. You'll see this lines up with this bolt hole over here to put a P-clamp over here, and you'll see that lines up roughly there with that bolt hole over there to put a clamp over there. But again, same scenario, you've got all your injectors and your coils. Coming down the front here, you've got your VVT-i control solenoid, you've got your TPS. Coming down here, you've got your cam sensor. You'll see these two little holes here. You should have clips in there to mount this and hold it tight there. Coming along here, you've got this hole between, so here's where your air pump would normally be. Coming down through here, then you're gonna have your crank sensor, your oil pressure, and then this one, I normally push it down through here, and that goes to your lambda sensor at the back. So we bring this around the front rather than coming through here, because you guys often remove the heat shields from there, and obviously they're going to expose a lot of heat. So we bring it down here so it's safe and away from the heat. Okay, so coming around the back, we've got your plug for your sub harness, and that's the one that goes underneath to your knock sensors and your starter solenoid. You've got two grounding points that ground over here onto an M6 bolt over there. You've got a single grounding point that bolts onto here onto an M6 bolt over here. These into the V-bank are all labeled. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut to that to show you what they look like underneath there. Back in a second. All right, back in the room. Okay, so that's what it looks like underneath. Straight plug in, solenoid, off you go. Then obviously you've got to put your main starter cable for the starter motor, which you can see we've got here going to the battery over there. Right, so coming over to the interior side now. So we've left a bit of heat shrink on here with this rubber grommet, so you can move this up and down to wherever's convenient for you. So once you get it into place, just get a heat gun and heat shrink that down. It's just because obviously every vehicle is different. We don't know where exactly yours is going to fit best through there. All right, coming to the ECU, you've got obviously your 5 plugs over here. They all just plug straight in. Then you've got two harness sections here that come to the 2 plugs into the fuse box over there. Obviously, you've got your fuse box with all your relays. This controls everything: the starter motor, the fuel pump, the EFI system, etc. Then you've got your, what I call the customer plug over here. So this is the one that you're going to wire into your car. So just to run through, there's not that many wires here, but just to run through what you've got, we've got 2 14 gauge red wires. They just need to be taken to permanent 12 volts. We've got a 16 gauge gray wire. That's for your fuel pump, so that you just take straight to the positive of your fuel pump. Or you can take it to a relay if you want to have a separate relay controlling the fuel pump over there, but it is already built into here for you. We've got your OBD2 plug over here. Coming out of here, we've got your pedal wire, which comes all the way up to there. So that plugs straight into the pedal that you've got. All right, and regarding the pedal, I've got a little video on the pedals and how they work and what happens to them, etc. So you can just flick through and watch that one. Coming to all the little wires now, we've got a black with a red, that's ignition 12 volts. Just make sure that it doesn't get fed off accessory, because if it's on accessory, as soon as you go to the start position of the key, accessory will shut down and your ECU will shut down. Then you've got black with the yellow, and that's your starter signal. So again, this is just activating a relay, so it doesn't need to be like a major signal, comes straight from the key. You've got your white with your blue, that's a clutch switch that we've put in. So if you don't have a clutch switch, just connect this straight to ground. And if you do have a clutch switch, make sure the other side of the switch is connected to ground, okay? All right, indicator stuff now. So we've got yellow with a green. That goes to that single wire temp sensor wire that you saw on the engine that I showed you. You've got yellow, which is your tach signal. So we're connecting this to our cluster here so we can actually see the tach active when we start the engine up. We've got yellow with the red, that's check engine light. Now check engine light is built into your fuse box in form of this LED, but we've got it over there just to show that the wire is actually connected correctly to that one as well. Then we've got pink with a blue, that's your alternator light. You've got yellow with a black, that's your oil pressure light. Now both of those are ground signals. So you'll see what I've done is I've got them to LEDs, and I've got the other side of the LED to a 12 volts over there. All right, and that's it. So that's pretty much all the wires that you need to connect on your side, okay? The only ones that have to be connected is obviously the power, the fuel pump, the ignition, and the start signal, and the earth for the starter relay. All the other ones are just indicator lights for your dash, okay? So what we're going to be testing today is we're going to first of all look at the dash lights. So we're going to make sure all the LEDs come on. The oil one is coming on because I'm giving it a permanent 12 volts already, but as soon as I put the ignition on, the alternator one will come on. We're going to go to our TechStream device here to make sure that our OBD2 is working correctly. We're going to check the fuel pump via TechStream, because obviously in this case the ECU is controlling the fuel pump. We're going to then start the engine, so you'll see engine running. We're going to test the drive-by-wire, so obviously we're just going to press the pedal and see it rev up. We're going to go into the TechStream, we're going to test the 2 VVT-i solenoids. So you'll hear the engine change note, but you'll see actually when the camera's on here, it'll tell you exactly what it's doing. It's basically advancing the cam massively, so the engine goes blah, 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 blah. We're going to go over to the dash and we're going to see that the tach signal is working. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and I'm going to pull each injector out one at a time, just so that we can see that each cylinder is firing correctly. That'll obviously incorporate the injectors and the coils testing as well. Then obviously the starter will be tested when we start the car. The ACIS, or acoustic control induction system, revolves around this little valve at the back here. So at the moment it's in its up or open position. As soon as it starts after a few seconds, that's going to shoot down like that. So we'll just come over and check and make sure that it's down, so we're happy with that. And then we're going to go through and we're going to make sure we've got no codes, because obviously your ECU's been remapped for a manual setup. So you can see we've got no automatic gearbox here connected at all. Just to show that there are actually no codes in the system at all. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is, again, our black with the red, we're just going to give it 12 volts. You can hear the relays clicking away. Okay, so now you can see our LED and our fuse box is lit up. That's our check engine light. You can see that it's lit up on the dash here, so we know that the yellow and red is connected correctly. All right, and then we're going to go over to our OBD2. Sorry, I've had the engine running, so it is actually already connected, but you can see there, we can actually see values like coolant temp, intake air temp, throttle position, etc. I'll just go into function and system select, just so that you can actually see it is saying LS, there you go, LS430. So that's all okay. You can now see that our LEDs are both lit up, so that's alternator and oil pressure light. Obviously these will go out as soon as I start the engine. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into active test. Okay, and we are going to go into fuel pump. Now, you'll see fuel pump, relay, and fuel pump. I do have a good video on the fuel systems and how they work. That'll actually explain what that fuel pump relay actually means. It's not actually a fuel pump relay. It's a relay that activated to bypass the circuit through a resistor to slow the pump down. Obviously, in your case, there is none of that. It's literally just one relay giving 12 volts all the time. Okay, and so now we're going to go into active test. Oh, we're already in active test, sorry. Let's go into there. So as I click this button, I'm going to keep quiet and you should hear the relay clicking. So as I click it, there you go. And hopefully you can hear the pump. I'm just going to bring it close to the pump here. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you heard that, but that's all good. So that's the fuel pump done. We know the OBD2 machine works, so we know we're getting communication via the diagnostics port. And we know the dash lights are working because we've got check engine light over there and we've got the two LEDs lighting up over here. So next step is now I'm going to start the engine. So I'm just going to put my ear muffs on quickly because it's loud. All right, I'm going to continue to talk as the engine is running. You probably hear me. If not, we've already gone through exactly what we're going to test. So we'll just go through one by one. Okay, so again, nice and simple. My white and blue wire is connected to ground. My yellow wire is now my starter, and I'm just going to go and start it. Okay, so we're going to test the drive by wire. Okay, we're happy with that. VVT-i solenoids. Number 7, number 5, number 3, and number 1. Okay. So obviously we've been through starter, now we're going to go to ACIS. You can see that it's moved down now, so that's absolutely fine. We're going to check codes. And you see we've got 0 codes, nothing at all. Okay. I'm just going to disconnect the fuel pump. Okay, so I just disconnect the fuel pump to let the fuel run out of the system for when I take the intake off. But yeah, so I'm happy with everything. Everything seems to be working as it should. You've obviously got no codes. All the data seems to be coming through correctly. We've got no codes for the automatic gearbox, so we know that's all software remapped out. And everything is working as per our tests over there. So, next thing to do is, we'll just include some photos now of what it looks like when it was completely finished on the table. So we'll go to that once I finished here. But thanks for watching, guys, and if you have any questions, please let me know, and you can find us at Phoenix Engine Management on Facebook. I think we're also on Instagram, and yeah, and anything else you want to know, just fire questions below. We try and get through as much as we possibly can. But thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you again later. Bye bye.